welcome everyone. So here is the agenda. What we will do is we will recap Cloud for Analytics overview quickly. Then we will jump onto our main topic, disaggregation methods. Then my intention is to show you live demo, and then we will leave sufficient time for Q&A. So with that, let me proceed with a recap of the overview. And you might have seen this slide before, you might have seen in earlier presentations or any of the SAP events, but nevertheless, it helps to reinforce what you have learned, what you have seen before. What this slide shows is how we are positioning SAP Cloud for Analytics. As you can see over here, it is based on SAP HANA Cloud Platform, and there is something called core functionality, and there are additional capabilities, as you can see. So whenever any customer subscribes to SAP Cloud for Analytics, they get the core functionality no matter what capability they use. Okay, so this core functionality is something that they can always get. Now, in addition to core functionality, customer can sign up for specific capability. Right now, we are offering two of them, business intelligence and planning. And planning is the one that we will discuss in a bit more detail in this session. But in future, the descriptive and the GRC may come as part of SAP Cloud for Analytics. And then we have SAP Digital Boardroom that you might have seen in Sapphire last year or any of the other events thereafter, which overarches on entire Cloud for Analytics and beyond. Okay, and this SAP Cloud for Analytics can connect with on-premise data sources and applications. And you can see over here, this arrow is bidirectional. Okay, and we'll talk about this bidirectional arrow in a little bit more detail as well. Okay. Now, what is the value proposition of Cloud for Analytics for planning? There are three main things that that can take away as far as value proposition is concerned. It is simple and intuitive. So you don't have to go through 4 days training class to learn how to use SAP Cloud for Analytics. So that is one thing, and another thing is take action anywhere, so desktop or on the go. The experience itself is supposed to be a little bit different than traditional SAP products that you might have seen, R3, ECC, etc. In addition to that, we are, as you saw in that earlier slide, we are trying to give experience to do analytics, planning, predictive, the same tool with the same UI, instead of you having to go to, or user having to go to different tools and different UIs for all these things. Third thing is the trust. It is based on public cloud. It is on public cloud only. And some customers, some companies are hesitant to put their financial data on public cloud. And in order to give a comfort feeling to them, we have many certifications, security considerations already done, established in HANA Cloud Platform as well as Cloud for Analytics. And with that, you should be able to plan, simulate at any level, whether it is parent level, child level, it should not matter. There is a HANA engine running at the back end. We'll see that when we do the demo also, how you can do that planning at any level, etc. Okay. And here is a quick recap of all the features. Enhanced calculated measure support, enhanced current translation. I'm not going to read through each and every bullet point here, but I want to highlight a couple of features in this. For example, this bi-directional integration with SAP BPC, the third bullet point. Okay. Now, as you are aware, you might be aware that we have our on-premise planning application, SAP BPC, which comes in two versions, BPC Microsoft, BPC NetWeaver, and even BPC NetWeaver on non-HANA and HANA. So we offer this SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning offers bi-directional integration with SAP BPC. This means that you can use this product, SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning, with BPC and not instead of BPC. There were many questions last time that I received even during the session and after the session. How we can use this with BPC? Does it have all the functionality of BPC, etc.? So let me reiterate that once more, that the intention is to develop BPC both versions going forward and use for analytics for planning as a complementary planning tool with SAP BPC. And also, if you want to use SAP Cloud for Analytics as a standalone without BPC, that scenario is also supported. We'll talk about that also. Okay. Alternate hierarchy support, read-write authorization on directly on any model. So these are some of the features that you can expect from any planning tool, and especially if we are going to use SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning as a standalone planning tool, then these features become essential. Okay. Now, what this offers is I just get to highlight another feature over here: private versions, what-if scenario analysis. And while doing the demo in a few minutes, I will show you how we can create these private versions and use these private versions. But the topic for today will be allocations, distribution, and spreading, and we'll talk about this in a little bit more details in a few minutes. Now, this slide is highlighting how we can use, I just mentioned a minute ago that we can use SAP Cloud for Analytics as a complementary planning application to BPC, and this slide just highlights how we can do that. For example, you can use BPC, whether it is Microsoft, whether it is NetWeaver, either on-premise or on private cloud, on HEC. So this scenario is supported. So if you want to connect SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning directly to on-premise installation of BPC, you will do that, and there is bi-directional integration available. If you want to connect your SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning to BPC installation on HEC, even that scenario is supported. Okay. Now, having said that, how we can use SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning as a complementary tool? Let's talk about that. You can use BPC as your corporate planning application. Okay. And you can use SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning for extending that planning, maybe for strategic business units, maybe for a line of business planning, maybe for departmental planning. Okay. Now, remember, this SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning is available only on public cloud. Okay. So whatever extension you will be doing, you will be using this on public cloud. But nevertheless, what you can do is that you can create model automatically based on BPC. You can get data from BPC into SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning. For example, you can get the product master data and transactional data over here you can extend the product planning. You can create more products over here in your departmental planning. You can do your planning accordingly, and then pass that plan values back to BPC if you wish to. Okay, so that is that bidirectional integration that we are talking about. And of course, you can schedule how frequently you want to do this data transfer, how frequently you want to keep this data in sync, etc., between or your on-premise BPC and your Cloud for Analytics for Planning. So this this mechanism is built in and available to you out of the box, and I will show you when we go to the system, in case you have missed it in earlier session. Okay, so that is the added value of hybrid scenario, and no other application, no other cloud application, I repeat, no other cloud, public cloud planning application offers this. This is offered only by Cloud for Analytics for Planning. So you can say that this is the competitive advantage that we have. Okay. Now, let's proceed further and see some features. This is a simple feature if you are using, whether you are using Cloud for Analytics for Planning standalone or as a complementary. One essential requirement is that we should be able to enter directly the plan values in the system. And of course we can do that, and we can do that either as a number or as a percentage. So if you enter just plus 10%, it will increase your plan value by 10%. And if you enter minus 20%, it will decrease it by minus 20%. Now we are going to proceed further from this. What we are going to see is how we can do disaggregation. Okay. Just to recap, what we have seen so far is the value proposition of Cloud for Analytics Planning, how it can be used with BPC, what are the main features of Cloud for Analytics Planning. We talked briefly about entry. Now imagine that you have the plan data available in SAP Cloud for Analytics Planning, and you want to manipulate that plan data. You want to do different things with that plan data, and one of the manipulations might be disaggregation. For example, you might have entered the data at you might have entered I want to have a profit of $10 million for 2016. Now, take Cloud for Analytics for Planning, disaggregate that all the months, or disaggregate that to all the products, whatever your situation is. So we'll talk about different methods available to do that disaggregation. Okay. The two methods are described on this slide: distribution and spreading. So what is the difference between distribution and spreading? Spreading is something that you do from a top level node to your child level nodes. For example, if you enter some value at, say, United States level, at country level, and you want to spread those values to regions, which are child level nodes, and you use spreading functionality. Okay, so with this spreading functionality, you can enter your own weights with which you want to spread those values. Now, this can be, the spreading can be done to different months in a quarter, or quarters in a year, or regions in a state, whatever hierarchy that you want to use. Okay. Other method, other disaggregation method is distribution. Now, this distribution is something that you can use when you want to distribute the values in a different way among the siblings. So this is not from top level node to child level nodes, but it is something that you do at the same level of hierarchy. For example, if you want to disaggregate values, or if you want to spread the values from East US to West US, You will not use the spreading functionality because it is the same level of hierarchy. There you will use distribute functionality. If you want to disaggregate values from April month to May or June, then you will not use spread functionality. You will use spread functionality if you want to disaggregate values from quarter to month, but not from one month to other months. So there you will use distribute functionality. Okay, and we'll see these things when we go to the demo in few minutes. Okay, now in addition to this distribution and spreading, there's one more method available. Now this distribution and spreading I mentioned where we are making use of the hierarchy, one or more hierarchies distribute either from top level node to child level nodes or from one sibling to other sibling at the same level of hierarchy. But what if I want to spread this forecast of the United States to at Q2 level to different months based on the expenses that I incurred in my last year. Okay, so that is a different driver. Now, if you want to use such different drivers to do your planning, or what we call it as driver-based planning, we SAP Cloud for Analytics for Planning offers another functionality called allocations, where you can define your source, your target, and your driver, and you can execute your rules, a rule or rules. That means one step or multiple steps at one time for any what if scenario, and those steps can be different for different what if scenarios. So that is the allocation process. Okay, so you can create allocation and reallocation rules. That is a multi-step rule if you wish to do such things. And when we do the demo, you will see that even though we are doing this complex allocations, we are not writing a single line of code or single line of script anywhere. Okay, so the theme that we saw, simplify, experience, and trust, those themes you will see even while doing such complex multi-step allocation calculations and things like that as well. Okay, so that is what we have in Cloud for Analytics for Planning as far as disaggregation methods are concerned. Now, at this time, let me go to the system and show you a demo, and we'll come back to this slide after I finish the demo. And here I'm going to show you first the allocation where we are maintaining or where we can maintain an allocation rule. So this is where all these allocation processes and allocation steps will be created. So for example, let me create one demo allocation here. I can write the description as an optional if I want to, but what is mandatory is I need to select a model against which this allocation process will be applied. So I'm selecting a model over here, and I'm not going to go to the details of what a model is, how it looks like, what are the ingredients, how do you configure that model, because we covered all that in that earlier demo where Janet showed the overview part. Okay. Now, once I select the model, I can create a step for that model. Okay. Now, this is where I create a step, and for example, I can create a step called allocate IT expenses. Now, in this example, what I will be doing is I will be allocating IT expenses to products. Okay. So let me select a source dimension. When I say I want to allocate from something, some entity, some dimension members to other dimension members. So I have to select my source and target. So here I'm selecting my my source as demo accounts and target demo products. Okay. Now here I have not selected which members, okay, which I will be doing in the next step. So as you can see here, it is quite intuitive enough where it is asking me, okay, now since you have said you want to disaggregate from some account, tell me which account you have in mind. Okay, so here I can navigate through the accounts that I have and I can select my IT expenses. Okay, so now it is knowing that it knows that I have to allocate something from IT expenses. And what is going to be my driver? Now I can select any driver that I want, but in this example, I will be selecting gross sales as my driver. And then I can select the products to which I want to allocate these expenses. Now, instead of selecting one or one particular product, let me select all products for now. But as you can imagine, you can select a specific product or product group if you wish to do this allocation. And once you do that, you have created your allocation rule over here. Now remember, we have just created an allocation rule. We are not executing anything over here. It's just configuring this allocation rule. And you can imagine that we can create multiple rules in this and they will get executed in this sequence. And then we can create multiple such sequences as well for the same or different model. Okay. Now at this time, let me go to stories. And here I'm creating a new grid. Again, as I said, I'm building on to the overview demo that you saw last time. Last time we went through the details about how these stories are created, how we can create these cross tabs, etc. Now here I'm going to select the same model over here, existing model. And now a report is being created. Now this is the report that I have. And let me navigate to the IT expenses part that we have over here. So these are my IT expenses. Now before I do this this allocation, what I need to do is I need to create a private version to do my scenario planning. So what I will do is I will create a private version called scenario 1 from actual version. And as you can see, it has created this private version for me. And let me see if I already have IT expenses for any products or not. So I can easily include products in my rows and columns. In this case, I have included them in rows over here. And if I expand this, I see that this IT expenses are not allocated to any product. So it says that all the expenses are assigned to this no product, which means they are not assigned to any product. So at this time, I can execute my allocation. Okay. So if I go over here, it is giving me one step, and we'll talk the spreading and distribute in a few minutes. But let me go to this execute allocation. And it already senses that I already have an allocation process defined for this. And since I'm in scenario 1 version, it is giving me that as default. And then it is asking me if I want to execute that or not. Yes, sure. I still have an option whether to use the existing point of view or I want to create a new filter to execute these values or not. For this demo, I will just use this point of view that I already have and execute this allocation. Now remember, this allocation will be executed for all levels of all hierarchies of all dimensions in product. And as you can see, now what it has done is it has allocated these values to apparel and footwear as well as the products under this product group as well. Okay, so it has done that based on the driver that I specified, and it has done that only for my what if scenario. Okay. So if I create multiple such what-if scenarios, and if I create multiple allocation rules, obviously I can do this allocation in various ways to do this simulation and see which one I want to go with. Okay. Now let's talk about something else, some other disaggregation functionality like distribution and spreading. Let's talk about distribution. We have already seen how the allocation looks like. As far as distribution is concerned, as I mentioned, we can distribute it from one sibling to other sibling. So in this example, this apparel and footwear, you cannot see this properly, let me expand this. Apparel and footwear are siblings, okay? So for example, here I can take 100 million from apparel and give it to footwear, in which case it will be 68.8 million for apparel and 187.1 million for footwear. One option is for me to enter manually over here using direct entry 68.8 million and direct entry 187.10 million. But if there are 10 such siblings, I may want to use some planning functionality. So I go to distribute over here, and then I can enter the values that I wish to distribute. In this case, I will enter, as I said, 100 million. Now it is giving you a preview that how the data will look like if I execute this distribution. So after I execute this distribution, you may see footwear to go to 187 and this apparel to remain at 68.8 million. So when I do that, it will do it for all hierarchy levels, all months, all quarters, all the products within that. So if I expand this, the products within that will get distributed accordingly. Okay. So that is what distribution is all about. How about spreading? Spreading, as said, works with when you want to spread values from a top level node like this, all products, to its children, apparel and footwear. So for example, over here, if I go to spreading, now it is showing me that 255.89 million are spread between these two in this proportion. Now, if I don't want that, I can say that I want to distribute that in the ratio 5:3, or whatever rate that I want to enter. Now it will distribute this 5:3, and it is showing me the preview of this. And when I apply the spreading, it will spread the values accordingly. And I can do that at any level of hierarchy. So even if I go over here, I can do the same thing. I can do my spreading in whatever other weights that I want, 2:3:4, or whatever other distribution mechanism, so spreading way I want to use. Okay, and it will do it accordingly. If I want to distribute it from this athletic shirts to athletic shorts, which disaggregation method will I use? Distribute. Okay. If I want to allocate, let's say, gross profit to different products or different cost centers, or my, I don't know, my personnel cost, if there is some personnel cost for bonus, I don't know if I have that in this model or not. Yes, bonus. So if I want to allocate this bonus to different employees or cost centers or whatever that case is, based on gross sales, which distribution method will I use? Allocation. Because then I can specify a different driver based on which I can allocate this to different entities. And again, I can do that for my different scenarios, my private versions. And whatever version that I want to finalize, I can publish that as public version. So let's talk about, so this means these enhancements, this roadmap includes all core capabilities roadmap plus So Power Planner features, for example, embedded predictive forecasting. Then we also have predictive as part of another capability. Obviously, we can make use of that predictive capability in our planning, and we can do predictive forecasting using predictive analytics. Some improvements in conditional formatting of reports, bidirectional integration with embedded model. But wait a minute, didn't I say that we have bidirectional integration with BPC already? Yes, we do. We have that with BPC 10.0 Microsoft, BPC 10.1 Microsoft, BPC 10.0 NetWeaver standard model, and BPC 10.1 NetWeaver standard model. Okay? It is not there right now with BPC 10.2 NetWeaver embedded model. That is something that is coming up. Okay? So just wanted to make that clear. Remote data access for HANA, BW, S/4HANA, etc. What does that mean? At present, we have access for HANA. At present, we have access for BW. But what is coming up is remote data access. This means the data can remain in your S/4HANA. The data may not leave your S/4HANA at all, and still you will be able to use SAP Cloud for Analytics without any data transfer. Okay, we are using INA protocol and reverse proxy to accomplish that. I don't want to go in much in technical or architectural details, but that is what we are using. And then you can expect integration with other SAP Cloud solutions as well. Okay, for example, Cloud for Customer, etc. In addition to that, packaged application extensions like sales planning, marketing planning, headcount planning. So some out-of-the-box planning applications or planning apps you can expect. Now, you may ask me, is this something that SAP is going to develop, or are we going to leverage the knowledge base that we have with SAP partners? You bet we are going to leverage the ecosystem knowledge base that we have. So if you are a partner listening to this, and if you want to do this packaged application extensions, please get back to me, and we can talk about how we can do this. But this is something that partners can get involved in future, not right now, but in future, because this is a roadmap. In addition to that, extended mobility support. So UX optimization for mobile devices. This is something that we are working on. Enhanced capabilities on mobile app and native iPad support. So these are some of the extensions, some of the innovations that you can expect in coming days, coming weeks, etc. Also, please remember that this is on public cloud. So every 2 to 3 weeks, you may see some new incremental features if you're already a customer. Okay? You can sign up. If you are a customer, you can sign up for a free trial. We can give you access to the system where you can try out different things. If you are a partner, you can approach through your partner organization, whether it is Partner Edge or SAP Corporate Partner Network that you have. You can approach through that to get access to the system. Okay?
Question from Joyce is that, are the allocation rules saved for a particular scenario, i.e. can I go back and determine what the allocations were when a specific allocation scenario was run in the past?
Yes. Now, allocation rules are saved for a model, not a scenario. But you can execute those allocation rules for a specific scenario or private version in particular. Okay? If you want to go back and determine what allocation rules were executed and what values were there before and after, etc., you can always use auditing feature.
Okay, thank you, and hopefully that's answered your question, Joyce. If not, Question from Alazar. Does SAP Cloud for Analytics support consolidation of financial statements?
This is very good question. Fantastic. Right now, it does not, and that is where the complementary part of BPC becomes very important. BPC, as you are aware, supports consolidation very well, and you can use BPC consolidation functionality in conjunction with Cloud for Analytics for Planning. But Cloud for Analytics for Planning, if you are using it standalone, it right now does not have consolidation.